The Walter P. Chrysler Museum in Auburn Hills is decking its displays with nostalgia for cars, trees, and traditions. Now, this exhibit features vintage Christmas trees paired with vehicles from that era. So stick around because we're going to get our own private tour. Well, so Jim, tell me about this exhibit we've got going on here.
Well, it's a wonderful exhibit. It's called Cars, Trees, and Traditions, and we've had this since 2004, and it just draws a great number of people out. And it focuses on trees through the decades and really parallels a lot of the decades that we have here in terms of cars that are represented.
So how many decades does it span?
Well, we start in the early 1900s and go through to the late 1900s. And it really just gives a broad overview of everything that the visitor can see in terms of traditions over the past.
So it's a really neat vintage Christmas tree display.
It is, yeah. And you know, every time somebody goes through, they always talk about stories that relate to their time period or generation. And you'll see them also looking at just some of the decorations that we have set out as well. They'll say, gee, maybe we'll try that when we're at home.
Well, it feels so festive in here. I can't wait to start and look at all the trees.
Oh yes, it's a wonderful opportunity for visitors to come out and celebrate the season. And Jim Barry, he's going to be able to take you on a tour now and explain about the influence of the car during the holiday season as well.
Okay, well,
all right.
I'll talk to Jim, and thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
So Jim, what exactly is the visitor going to get out of this Christmas tree display?
You know, visitors mark their time in the family by cars, what car you had at Christmas, and by what was on the tree and what you got. Even if they don't own a Chrysler car or participated in Chrysler history, they can remember their station wagon that went to pick out the live tree at the used car lot and put it on top and how scrawny it was.
So these panels down here kind of give you a sense of what was going on in
You get a taste
Christmas.
of what was going on in Detroit, in the nation, and how Christmas has changed and our perceptions of it changed.
You guys have done a great job of displaying it, but I'm going to look at some of the trees specifically. Now, John is going to be my guide for that.
John's our tree guru.
All right, well, I'm off to see John. Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
So, John, it must have been a lot of fun researching all these different trees and eras.
Oh, it was. It was.
We start with what, here in the mid-20s?
Well, this is our 1924 tree, and it's paired with our 1924 Chrysler, a prototype of one of the first Chrysler models. Today, we do things a lot busier, a lot fuller. But for 1924, this was very opulent.
This was it, and so then all these ornaments are from that
period.
And then the presents, are the presents also indicative of the times?
Yes, yeah, the presents under each tree are indicative of the financial conditions of the times.
So this was the harder times. Was the popcorn a sign of making your own garland?
Yes, it was more of a homespun thing. It had been done before the Depression, but it was a very popular thing to do because it was inexpensive to do.
And so what year is this?
1934.
Oh wow, look at all the presents under this one.
It's post-war time. It's 1948, the war is over, everyone's back to work, and it was a good Christmas time for everyone, and their trees reflected that.
Yeah, the tree is huge comparatively to the other sizes.
The tree is huge. It's what we call fat and happy.
Fat and happy.
Yes, and the decorations, the reflectors and everything really speak of that era.
You've given me some tips for this Christmas.
Feel free to use them.
Well, this one's really pretty. This is what era?
1956, mid-50s. These are shiny bright ornaments named after the company that really popularized and mass manufactured them. We also have the sugar cube lights on this.
I love those
Lots of tinsel and many presents under the tree.
This tree is really quite beautiful. Tell me about these.
Aluminum tree. This was a purely American thing, and it's an expression of our industrial might, our technological innovation, that we could just completely abandon the natural tree and make something so unabashedly man-made and shiny. And then these color wheels were the accessory you had to have with it, and to change colors.
And this is again what we're in the mid-60s?
Early 60s to mid-60s, yeah.
Was when
1957, they introduced them in 1957, but they really caught on in the 60s and were huge.
This is just a fantastic display. Well, these ornaments are very ornate.
These are from the mid-70s, and these were handmade.
Now this tree has special meaning to you because?
This tree was my parents' tree.
It's your
I
parents'
got
tree.
presents under this from 1968 until I grew up and moved out of the house, and even after then.
That's fantastic. And I love the television that it's sitting next to.
This is the birth of people at home following decorating trends and taking it up to that level. This is the mid-'80s, 1984. This is just a very opulent tree to express those times. It's paired with the minivan.
Oh, there's even a Hudson's bag in the minivan.
This is the very first minivan ever produced. Lee Iacocca himself drove it off the line.
So now we're down in the garage where there are
Yes, we are.
themed trees, correct?
Yes, this is a lady's tree for a lady's car. This is the 1955 Dodge La Femme. It was a vehicle that was geared towards the fairer sex. This is just a Rhapsody in red. We've got this gorgeous 1968 Dodge Charger, and it just asked for a red tree.
My tree is red and white, so I'm very
Oh,
partial
is
to
it?
the red. It's beautiful. Well, John, thank you for showing me and giving me the lowdown on the trees, but I'm going to go check out a few more of my own.
Well, you're quite welcome. Come back and visit us again.
Okay, thanks. The garland on this tree really takes me back to my childhood. So this is an example of their Hollywood tree on display here, and it's actually from the movie Holiday Inn, starring Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire, the movie that made White Christmas famous. I think this is going to be one of my favorite trees. This is a 1910 feather tree. The clips on it are holding the candles up. It's Victorian ornaments. This is before trees were full size. And then what we've got here in front of it is a Chrysler holiday car that actually went out right before the stock market crash, wishing everybody a prosperous new year. Little did they know what was to become. Well, this is a pretty groovy tree. It's a race car theme down here amongst all these race cars. Can't get more appropriate than that. I love this theme. The checkered flags. This tree is the Jeep themed tree, and it's very rugged and outdoorsy. We've got a natural pine in there. We've got pine cones for decorations on the presents. Make sure you want to get outdoors and celebrate the season in the snow. The Cars, Trees, and Traditions exhibit at the Walter P. Chrysler Museum in Auburn Hills is a great way to relive Christmases of the past and a good way to tell your stories to future generations.